Prawns with yellow split pea puree, which is a Greek staple, also known as fava. It's an absolute powerhouse for protein. It's rich in iron, and you know it is one of those really fantastic foods. I'm using a nice wild Atlantic prawn here, and with this I'm going to be using just a whole range of different kind of Mediterranean-y type of ingredients, but this is going to be a dish that's particularly focused on good quality and high amounts of protein within it. And what you're going to need is 100 grams of peeled wild prawns, 90 grams of yellow split peas. Now I've soaked these overnight, so they're going to bulk up quite a lot overnight. I have a medium onion, which is just chopped into large chunks. I also am using a lot of garlic in this. I'm going to leave 3 cloves of garlic, which are peeled, and just leave them whole because we're going to be cooking those with the split peas and then pureeing later. And 1 garlic clove, which I've just chopped up roughly. I have a little bit of parsley, because when you're using a lot of garlic, parsley kind of counters that, and it counters the, you know, it's a good thing to pair up with garlic. I have a few pomegranate seeds, the seeds of about half a pomegranate, and also using a few chia seeds here. Again, a very nutritional option, and give a lovely nutty flavor to this whole dish as well. Half lemon, about 100 grams of good quality organic salad, plenty of olive oil, about 50 mils. I'm going to be using some white wine vinegar in this to make a dressing, salt, black pepper, and also a little bit of coconut oil, which I'm going to use for frying. So the first part of this recipe is making the fava. So I'm going to just simply add my split peas, yellow split peas, into my pot. I'm going to add all of the onion and the 3 whole cloves of garlic. I'm going to top up with some water and just cover it with water. Going to add a pinch of salt, a little black pepper, and then I'm just going to bring that up to a simmering boil. I'm just going to bring that up to it, as I said, a simmering boil, until all of the ingredients, in particular the chickpeas or the split peas, are nice and tender. As the split peas are on cooking, I'm now just going to very quickly make a very simple dressing. I'm going to add roughly 30 or 20 milliliters of white wine vinegar into a small bowl. Add a piece of salt and pepper. The reason you always season before you add the oil in the dressing is because the vinegar will absorb the flavors much more effectively when it's on its own before the oil goes in. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of that chopped garlic, about half a clove. I'm going to keep the other half for the prawns themselves. And let that soak in together. And finally, I'm going to add a little piece of olive oil. Now there's a surplus of dressing here, and this will last for quite literally weeks in the fridge. And that's just a very simple little dressing. We want to just use to dress the whole dish and the salad in particular towards the end. We'll just put that aside. My yellow split peas have been cooking for about 30 minutes. And if the pan is going any way dry as was cooking, I was just adding a little bit more water. So this is how they look now. All nicely cooked. The garlic is cooked down, the onions and everything else. Now I'm going to take some of the water off, but I'm not going to discard it. Hold on to that piece of water, just in case your chickpeas are a little bit dry, and you most likely will be able to add it all back in again. Then into this I'm going to add a little drop of olive oil, about 20 mils. And I'm just going to blend the chickpeas up using the hand blender. blending this, as you can see, it's starting to get quite thick. So I'm actually going to add the remainder of that liquid, the cooking liquid from the chickpeas, just to lighten it out a little bit. And now we should end up with something resembling the consistency of a mashed potato. And there we go, our chickpea puree. You can adjust, or fava. You can adjust the seasoning a little bit if you think it needs a little bit of salt or pepper. And this again is one of those great foods, a staple in lots of the Mediterranean, especially towards Greece and Turkey. Finally, I'm going to just cook my prawns. I'm going to add a little bit of coconut oil. Let that to warm up in the pan. And then just going to add my prawns. So a small pinch of salt, small piece of pepper. Just as a matter of interest, you could also use low-fat salts on this. The cook goes nice and lightly. Going to pop the lid on just to speed up that cookery. There's a little bit of liquid coming out of the prawns as well, so that little liquid is going to steam the prawns nice and quickly as well. As you can see, they cook very, very quickly on a good high heat. When the prawns are about this stage, you can see there's a little bit of liquid after coming from the prawns themselves. I'm just going to add that little bit of half garlic clove that was retained from earlier. The reason I'm adding it now and not because I don't want to burn the garlic. I just want to get that lovely clean flavour. Next I'm going to add the parsley, which I have now chopped. A little drop of olive oil, like just literally 10 mils. And the juice of half a lemon. Making it quite citrusy because then it'll go to work very, very well with the fava. At this point you can see the prawns are cooked through. You don't want to overcook them. They cook literally in just a few minutes, couple of minutes. I'm going to turn off the heat. I'm just going to cover them up. There's enough heat in the pan to finish any more cookery that's necessary. And then we'll just assemble the whole dish. To finish this dish, first of all I'm going to just very simply dress the salad with the dressing that we made earlier. Just going to stir it up a little bit, and let a little bit of the dressing into the salad and toss it all up in a good sized bowl so that coating all of the leaves. You notice I didn't use all the dressing. When you're making it, you can make a little bit of surplus. And just put that aside. I've transferred the fava. After just adjusting the seasoning a little bit, I've transferred it into a small bowl. And I'm just going to place a couple of spoonfuls onto the plate. You can just flatten it out just a little bit, kind of almost forming a little bit of well in the middle of it. Then, my prawns, which I've just cooked, I'm just going to spoon into the middle. Just spread them through on the fava. And then any surplus juices that are on the pan, I'm just going to let fall onto the prawns. Next up, I'm going to get my pomegranate seeds. I'm going to put a generous amount all over the whole plate. And my chia seeds. Around the whole plate also. And finally, I'm going to take my salad, put it slightly to the side, because you do want to see the prawns first, and put a generous amount of leaves, which have been dressed nicely. You can do a little drizzle of a little bit of surplus dressing, just over, just to moisten up the whole dish and around the plate. And that's it. Very, very simple, very protein-packed dish, but also very high in fibre. And unlike a lot of protein-packed meat dishes, which tend to be very low in fibre, this thing will literally go down very, very well.